Blood Feud, the final issue of Marvel Comics' Japanese folklore-inspired series Demon Days, young Oni warrior Mariko Yashida comes face-to-face with her long-lost sister Ogin. Can Mariko talk Ogin out of her Hulk-sized thirst for revenge? Or will she come full circle and meet her death in the Kirisaki Mountains? What's up, Japan fans? It's your pal Kay here on Eat, Pray, Anime. In this video, we'll dive into Demon Days Blood Feud and explore how it uses Japanese folklore to provide a fresh take on familiar Marvel characters. Marvel's 5-issue prestige series Demon Days features story and illustration by Stormbreaker artist Peach Momoko, writing by Yokai expert and star translator Zack, and lettering by the talented Ariana Maher. I've said it before and I'll say it again, please, if you can, support your local comic book store by picking up a hard copy of Demon Days. If you haven't started collecting the issues yet, you can get all 5 together in the gorgeous Demon Days Treasury Edition trade paperback, which also features 2 stories you might have missed in King in Black and Elektra Black, White, and Blood, plus other extras. Check the link in the comments below to find a comic book shop near you. In issue 4, Rising Storm, Mariko battled against 2 literal gods, the Shinto kami Fujin and Raijin, before learning the truth about her family's past. The soul of Mariko's deceased mother emerged from her red jaw armor, and Mariko discovered that Ogin wrongfully blamed her for their mother's death when they were children and had plotted her revenge ever since. Armed with her long-forgotten memories, Mariko confronts her sister at her ancient temple lair. Blood Feud starts with a standoff between Mariko and Ogin's henchman, Halbo, who transforms from Cupid doll to kaiju in 3.5 seconds. Halbo proceeds to literally wipe the floor with Mariko, while Ogin rages about her grief and trauma from growing up as a lonely and unloved orphan. With the help of her trusty wolf companion Logan, aka Wolverine, Mariko chucks a vial of spider venom, a gift from her friend Reina, aka Ghost Spider, into Halbo's mouth. It takes a while for the venom to take effect, but soon Halbo is down for the count and Ogin takes matters into her own hands. Ogin plugs the IV tube from her katana into the port on her hand and goes into beast mode, strengthened by the yokai blood contained in vials on the hilt. Similar to how Mariko is surrounded by Scarlet, Oni-shaped armor when she wears her jaw armor, Ogin is covered in silver armor that boosts her powers. Mariko tries to talk sense into Ogin while fending off her attacks, pointing out how her sister hasn't been alone, but her obsession with revenge has cost her the friends she'd had. Mariko sheathes her tanto knife and ties on her jaw armor, calling on the spirit of their mother, Miyuki. The 3 Oni women are reunited briefly, and Miyuki apologizes for hurting Ogin and tells her she loves her. In that moment of vulnerability, Ogin stabs Mariko in the back with their mother's knife and mourns the loss of her sister as she loses consciousness. Mariko wakes up at home with Granny Yashida and Miss Kuroki, aka Black Widow, who is finally set free by another of Ogin's henchmen, Kuya, aka Nightcrawler. Granny reveals that it was Ogin who had brought Mariko down from the mountains so that she would live. Back in the forest, Ogin leaves an offering of flowers and incense at the simple grave dedicated to her mother. It's unclear where Ogin will go from here, but Kuya notes that there are other yokai still out there, as lost, afraid, and alone as she was. We could be seeing the beginning of Ogin's transformation from villain to anti-hero. Meanwhile, Mariko returns to her life as your average superpowered high school student. As she walks to school, she reflects on her journey and comes to terms with the fact she can never return to normal because the world was never normal to begin with. In fact, Kirisaki Mountain may not be the only place where yokai dwell. I was definitely surprised by this conclusion to the Yashida saga. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I was hoping that the comic would reveal some sort of grand connection between Mariko, Ogin, and the legendary warrior Sai through heritage or history or their weapons. Even in the final showdown, I don't feel like we got a really good look at Ogin's katana or her full power set. I had imagined that each vial might contain the power of a different yokai, and that Ogin could switch between them in the middle of a fight. Maybe we'll see more of Ogin in the future, or maybe I've just been thinking way too hard about Demon Days for the past year. I also expected that we'd learn more about Mariko and Ogin's mother Miyuki and her death. But at the same time, there's commentary from the writers here that sometimes we can never truly understand why a loved one would take their own life. And in the words of Mariko in issue 4, maybe it doesn't matter. knowing won't change anything. That's the end of the Demon Days Yashida saga, but thankfully it's not the end of the Momokoverse. The next installment, Demon Wars, kicked off in August with Demon Wars The Iron Samurai. Blood Feud's Yokai files focus on the legendary demon lord Shuten Dōji, the Amanojaku, and the Reiki, or Ghost Oni. In my breakdown of Rising Storm, I explained that the history of Mariko's Oni lineage and her magical red jaw armor is patterned on the legend of Shuten Dōji. Both Mariko's ancestor Kigan Dōji and Shuten Dōji are the leaders of a band of Oni whose territory is encroached upon by humans. They're both decapitated by a samurai and their heads are kept as a talisman. I also mentioned how the character Ogin resembles Kidomaru, an Oni child with a desire for revenge against humanity, sometimes because her father was Shuten Dōji. Zack Davisson gives us the full story on Shuten Dōji, which takes on a whole new meaning in Blood Feud. Davisson explains that Shuten Dōji's story is part mythology, part folk legend, and possibly part history. Like a number of legends about yokai, like the Tsuchigumo or Dust Spider, Shuten Dōji may have been a rebel leader at odds with the powers that be, such as the Yamato court, whose resistance was transformed into legend. There are many variations on the story of Shuten Dōji, but the oldest known record is found in the 14th century scrolls of Mount Oe. In this version, Shuten Dōji is an Oni king who gathers a band of Oni on Mount Oe. He leads raids on the capital city of Kyoto, kidnapping young women in retribution for being forced from their homeland in the mountains. Famous heroes such as the Onmyoji sorcerer Abe no Seimei, the samurai Minamoto no Yorimitsu, also known as Raiko, and the warriors called the Four Heavenly Kings sneak their way into Shuten Dōji's camp by posing as priests. They either drug or drink Shuten Dōji and his gang under the table and slay them in their sleep, taking Shuten Dōji's head as a trophy. Davisson reminds us that some versions of the legend are sympathetic towards Shuten Dōji rather than celebrating the heroic deeds of Raiko. The Oni's famous last words are quoted as, "Alas, it is the priests who lie. There is nothing false in the words of an Oni." In Demon Days Blood Feud, we see a much more sympathetic side of Ogin. Like Shuten Dōji, she can be appreciated as an Oni warrior who leads a band of yokai outcasts driven from their ancestral lands by ignorant and uncaring humans. And like Kidomaru, she is an Oni child who seeks revenge for the death of her family and the treatment of her kind. In the end, Ogin has legitimate grievances, but Mariko realizes that the cycle of violence and death must be broken for anyone to know peace. Unlike Shuten Dōji and many other yokai, the Amanojaku, which we can translate as evil spirit of heaven, is an unambiguously evil creature. The Amanojaku predates the arrival of Buddhism in Japan, but they are most often seen as evil spirits vanquished by the Buddhist deities called the Four Heavenly Kings, symbolizing the triumph of good over evil. The Amanojaku may be related to the terrifying Shinto deity Amanozaku and the more murderous strain of the Hindu Yaksha. They are known to provoke humans to act on their darkest impulses and commit vile deeds. Could it be that Halbo has been the secret mastermind behind Ogin's wrath the whole time? Halbo didn't turn out to be a toad monster as I had originally predicted, so I'm not really clear on which mutant he's supposed to be. The green coloring still makes me think of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants member Toad, but given his strength and size, he could also be the Blob. If you have any theories about the character, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. The last entry in the Demon Days Yokai files is the Reiki, the ghostly spirit of a deceased Oni. Davisson writes that ghost Oni are powerful and even more ferocious than their living counterparts. They are said to be fueled by revenge and to appear as they did in life, surrounded by a glowing aura. In one tale, the ghost of an Oni haunted the Gongoji temple because he had been shunned and killed by the locals, and his spirit had to be exorcised from the temple. But Reiki aren't so simple in Demon Days. The ghost Oni that we encounter in the comics isn't a vengeful spirit, but the soul of Mariko and Ogin's mother, Miyuki, who appears to help protect and reunite her children. Overall, Demon Days' take on yokai is full of nuance and pathos, much as they are in Japanese folklore, which makes the storytelling all the more interesting and fresh. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of the Demon Days Yashida saga. Don't forget to pick up a hard copy of the Demon Days Treasury Edition, and stay tuned for Eat Pray Anime's exclusive interview with the artist and storyteller Peach Momoko herself. While we chat about her interest in Japanese folklore and inspirations for her characters, Peach will draw us an illustration of Mariko from her next series, Demon Wars. You won't want to miss it. Until next time, don't forget to eat, pray, read comics, and watch anime.